Alright, so I got a whole bunch of BETAFPV stuff that has come in over the last several weeks, and they kind of piled up here, and I did show some stuff on my Instagram, but might as well just get all this out of the way in this video. Some of these things you'll see again in future videos. You'll have to look for them because I'm not going to put them in the title specifically by the part. I don't usually do that anymore. So it might be some kind of part of some of the review or something like that. It might be kind of an interesting title. It's not going to be XXYZ part in the title anymore. I don't really do that anymore. So if you are looking for more specific information about this, you'll have to kind of click on the video and see if it pops out. Look in the video description. All these parts will be listed in this video description as well if you want to get further details, specifications on that kind of, all these things. Click on those links and they'll take you to the product pages, and if there's any specific information you're looking for over there, check it out over there. Start off with their Nano transmitter here. This is the Gemini one. They call it the Super D. So it has, for Gemini, if you don't know what Gemini is, it's got two transmitters inside here, which we have two antennas. So it offers better. It doesn't offer better range or penetration, but it offers better transmission through noisy environments because it transmits over two different frequencies. So your packets have a better chance of arriving at your quad, wherever it is, the receiver. If you're in an environment where the noise is quite a bit, if you're in a lot of high, sort of RF environment with a lot of noise. So if that's you, this might be something you might want to check out. It'll give you a more, I guess, reliable signal and a more reliable link. I did talk about Gemini in my Jumper T20 Gemini video, so I'll link that in the video description if you guys want to get some more information about how this technology works. You will need, of course, Gemini capable receivers, so you'll need one of these dual antenna receivers with basically two 2.4 gigahertz receivers on board, and they'll come with two antennas. So you'll need one of these or several of those available out there. This is of course, the BETAFPV one. And if you want to use Gemini mode correctly, you'll need one of these receivers as well as the Gemini transmitter. In my opinion, not really necessary for everybody. It's a nice to have, but not a must have. It's not going to hurt. If you use this versus a regular receiver setup, it isn't going to reduce your capabilities in any way. It's just going to obviously add a little bit of weight because of the extra antennas. And of course, the cost is a little bit more, but for those you want that little bit of extra security and want to pay a little bit more, then this is definitely worth checking out. This is a nano receiver, so you need a nano bay, but if you have a micro standard JR bay, they do offer these adapters. This is injection molded plastic, and then the nano receiver just slides in here. I think it slides in like this and then just locks in, and then you pop this into the back of your radio. Because this is running on 1 watt at the higher powers, you're going to want to use a battery with an BT30 connector, something like a 2S to 4S, I think, and that'll power this on higher wattages, because it will, if you don't use this and you just use the radio battery, it will drain that radio battery very fast. And if the battery isn't a high quality battery, then you'll cause problems with radio shutting down, rebooting, this transmitter not powering up, etc. That's what this cable's for. So, and this is also, I think, some kind of metal. I'm not sure. It's like anodized black paint finish. It's got a fan. Obviously, you want to use these linear antennas here. Possibly using some other antennas could give you better range, but I think that the standard tests were done on these antennas. So for those of you that don't necessarily need, the Gemini technology, they have a 1 watt nano transmitter now. So this is the same size and sort of dimensions as their old nano transmitter. This is the V2. It now goes up to 1 watt. Of course, you're going to need a actively cooled fan here. So it's got that same fan that the Gemini transmitter had. But this case is plastic. It's white plastic, not metal. And of course, it's just a single transmitter, not a dual transmitter. It's got the same setup here with the XD32 USB-C power adapter. Of course, you're going to want that for your large, 500 milliwatts and 1 watt power. This is the 2.4 gigahertz version. There is a 915 megahertz version that will go up to 2 watts. Of course, I'll have a different antenna. Got your same 2 buttons here on the back and your LED fan. Got your antenna connector here. This is an SMA antenna. And this antenna has kind of a unique feature. It's got this little LED on top that lights up when it's transmitting. It sort of blinks in like a blue color. I'm not really sure how I feel about the light or if it really adds any value. Obviously, most of us are flying under goggles, so we're not looking at our transmitter antenna to see if it's working or not. I suppose if there's a problem, you could take the goggles off and take a look at it and take a glance and see if it's actually transmitting or not. But it's kind of a different feature from seeing this from any other manufacturer. And I don't know if this antenna works on other transmitters or not, or it only works on this one. I think it only works on this one. I'm not 100% sure. You'll have to probably talk to BETAFPV about that one. It's a little unclear from the product page if it's only meant for this particular transmitter and designed for this one, or will work with other ones or not. So if you're wondering about that, yeah, sorry, I don't really know the answers to that. Okay, so these batteries have been out for a little while now. These are these new BT 3.0 batteries. Obviously, got this new connector here. So not BT 2.0 for 1S batteries. This is the BT 3.0 connector, and this is a 2S battery. So you have 2 cells here. And so they are basically kind of, it's like a boosted up or larger BT 2.0 connector, obviously with a third pin there for your balance lead. And this is obviously on a 2S setup. This is not meant for high current draw drones. So if your drone is drawing more than 15 amps continuously, this connector here is going to limit your performance. This is not going to be recommended for anything where you're going to be racing or doing any kind of freestyle. This is going to be for cruising type drones, and one that this battery fits in nicely is this. This is the Pavo Pico, by the way, if you don't know. This is that frame, and it has a nice little battery tray that this battery fits in perfectly. And this one here, I've been playing with other battery type setups here, like maybe using some like 2 1S batteries, like I think put in 2 550s in here. With the BT 2.0 connector, and I've done that, and this flies totally fine on that setup. So on a single BT 3.0 connector shouldn't present any issues. So theoretically, you could make your own BT 3.0 batteries. There are the actual connectors here. So this is the connectors on the I got the drone side there, and then they have the other side over here that goes on the battery. So here's a close-up look at that. So obviously that's the side that the battery goes on, and it'll just connect like so. It's very easy. And obviously this is meant for reducing the weight, because on a 2S battery you're gonna have the XD30 typically, and then the balance lead and all that. That's not a lot of extra weight. This kind of gets rid of all of that. And then here is what it looks like on this side. Obviously these pins are a little bit bigger. The balance lead pin's a little bit smaller, and here it is on the other side. Very similar to the BT 2.0, but you're going to obviously wire up 3 wires to the connector. If you want to build your own BT 3.0 battery, like just take 2 1S batteries, and you can combine it like this and make a BT 3.0 battery. So these connectors are available in different packs. You have packs with the male and female, and then you have ones that just have the male and just the female. So these are all going to be linked down in the video description. So for the drone side, they do have some pre-wired, I guess, pigtails for your whoops. And so this is obviously on the drone side. It looks like it's on a right angle like this. And it's kind of short, so this is going to be for your smaller whoops, probably 75 millimeter. Maybe the Meteor 75 Pro at the most, and yeah. So if you want these ones that are sort of pre-connected like this, and all you have to do is then solder up this to your flight controller, and then you're good to go. And of course, they have these other adapters here. So this is a BT 3.0 to XH2.54 adapter. So you get 5 of these here, and this is what they look like. And so you just plug your BT 3.0 battery in like this. And then you can see on this side, you just have a standard, looks like a standard 2S balance lead. So you can just plug this into those chargers that can take a simple 2S balance lead, or you'll need an adapter to use a standard hobby grade charger. They do have chargers that charge this directly and also through this balance lead connector. They didn't send me those. I think they were out of stock at the time that I requested these. I think they're in stock now, and I'll link those down in the video description as well. I think you just use like a USB-C connector, and then it charges off like a phone charger, like a USB-C with power delivery. So you can charge up these batteries that way. All right, so I got a bunch of the new lava lipos in here. I don't have all of them. I got quite a few of them. I got the 1S300, the 1S550. I got the 2S550 and the 3S550. I also have the 4S850 as well. Not shown here. I've shown that in a previous video. I think the Pavo 25V2 video. If you want to see how that performs, I think it's in that video. There's a 1S450 I don't have. Let's see what else I don't have. I think there's a 4S550 as well, which I don't have. There might be a few other sizes, but there'll be a link to all the lava lipos down in the video description. In a nutshell, what's different about these versus their older batteries is that this uses the folded cell way of building them, which is similar to the way, well, it's just the exact same method that the Newbie Drone Nitro Nectar uses, and also the Tattoo 1S lipos. They use the BT 2.0 connector. There's also a bunch of ones from Tiny Whip as well, which I think are just variations of the Tattoo. So at least on the 300s, I haven't done any extensive testing yet, but based on some preliminary results, they perform very similarly to the Tattoos that I have. So if you're looking for some BT 2.0 batteries that are folded cell, 300 milliamp hours, I can tell you that these do perform almost identically to the Tattoos. Now, interestingly, these cost more, a little bit more than the Tattoos. So I think I bought a whole bunch back in like Black Friday from Amazon. Was quite a bit cheaper. Right now, I think it's like maybe $1 cheaper than the price from BETAFPV. It's not a huge price difference, but not exactly sure why these are a little bit more expensive. Typically, BETAFPV stuff is a little bit cheaper, so maybe in the future these prices of these might go down. And of course, I don't have any apples to apples comparisons for a 1S550 because Tattoo doesn't make the size in a BT 2.0 connector. Based on this battery compared to like the old BETAFPV, the blue batteries, the 1S450 and the 550, as expected, the folded cell here has a lower internal resistance and also a lower level of voltage sag when you're under a load, when you're flying it around. And that's what also I found out on the 1S300s as well as the Tattoos. That's kind of the big difference between these and the regular 1S lipos, is that those have, because of the way they're built differently, they have a little bit more voltage sag. So you're going to notice that, especially if you're using these for performance, more acro, more full throttle punch outs, that kind of thing. That's where you can probably notice it the most. I did a test on the 3S550 on my 3-inch. It was the one with the RCN Power 1303 motors, 5000 kV. So if you want to see how this performed, check out that video. You can see like how the voltage does not sag on this one hardly at all. And I flew this one for like almost 9 minutes on that quad. It's really super efficient. And I think I maybe only used 80% of the batteries. I got super tired and just wanted to end the flight because being under the goggles more than 5 minutes is really tough for me. So I did drag this out to 9 minutes, but I think I could have gotten 10 minutes, maybe possibly more out of this one. And the voltage sag was really, really nominal compared to some of the GMBs that I've used in the past, like the 450s and 553Ss on those sort of like 1303s with the toothpick sort of setup, pretty light. So so far so good on these batteries. I haven't had any issues. They haven't blown up. None of them puffed up yet. But it's early days, so you'll have to ask me in 6 months how these are performing, and of course you will see these popping out in various videos in the future, so be on the lookout for those. All right, so BETAFPV came up with these new BT 2.0 pigtails here. These are, I guess, in the community, they call these 180-degree pigtails. So this is meant to shorten the length of the wire here so that the connector can go in kind of at an angle. So you can see on this quad here where this doesn't have that. It's kind of tricky getting that battery connected here because I need a little bit longer wire there because it's basically not really meant to be kind of plugged in that way. And so using something like this would come in quite handy. Obviously, I didn't have these when I put this together, so I might switch this one out. I'll have to take it apart, so we'll see. But having this on here like this, you can plug in the battery like this, and you'll have a shorter bit of wire. It's a little bit easier to plug in, and that's the reason why they call it 180, because the wire basically makes a 180-degree turn right here. Now the downside of this, I think, is that I think they're using a little bit too much plastic here. So there's like a little sort of soft rubber cover on here. So obviously it's your standard BT 2.0 connector, and then you have this like plastic piece, and then this little cover that covers I think where the wires are being soldered to. And I think what most people do is they just put the wires like on the side, and then put a little bit of like welder's glue or E6000 glue between the two contacts so that you don't short the battery out by accident. And that's what this thing, that's the purpose for this here, is so that the wires don't get shorted, the batteries don't get shorted. But it seems like it's a bit too much plastic in my opinion. I don't know, I'm not sure how much benefit this has in terms of weight savings, but it definitely will make plugging in the battery a lot easier compared to the standard connector. All right, so we saw here, this is the new Meteor 75 airframe. I already built this thing out. This is actually the parts from the Meteor 65 HD1S from like 2 years ago that has been discontinued. I just moved those parts over to this one here. And it's using like 0802 19,500 kV motors, and you can see the new Lava 1S 550 on there. Fits this frame no problem. And they sent me a bunch of other colors. I don't know if this is all of them. This is like white, transparent white, transparent blue, transparent purple, transparent green, and you got black. And I think this one is transparent gray. Frames do come with these little spacers here because on the frame itself, let's try the black one here. So you can see right there those little ridges to sort of keep the motor in place. And in some cases, the motor base might be too big, or you may want to raise up the motor. So they do include these little spacers you can put there so that you can raise up the motor. Maybe the prop line's a little bit too low. And if you do use this, of course, you'll need longer screws. So this is the orange one, and we'll get the weight for this one here. It's 4.43 grams. This is the old Meteor 75 frame, not the Air. And this one comes in at 5.7 grams. So let's see, 5.7, 4.4, it's almost like 1.3 grams heavier. And just for comparison, this is a standard Meteor 65 frame, not the Air. So this is like 3.2. So this is about 1.2 grams lighter than the Meteor 75 airframe, or you can see that the Meteor 75 airframe is about 1.2 grams heavier than the standard Meteor 65 frame. And just comparing the two frames here, obviously the big difference here is in the sort of the spoke design here. They kind of optimize this, so you have 4 instead of like 8 of these smaller spokes here, you have 6 now. It is kind of like I think what the Meteor 65 uses is 6 here. Similar setup, just kind of blown up. And I don't know all of the specific changes that they made. They'll list them out on the product page for this one. But that was the biggest one that I noticed. Of course, there's this feature here in the back for an LED, which is just a lot of extra weight. They got rid of that. Obviously, it's for the same size battery. The tray is pretty similar for those 1S 450s and 550s. But yeah, 1.3 grams is a pretty big difference in weight in terms of this size. So if you're looking for more performance at your 75 millimeter whoops, this is definitely going to give you a little bit more performance and a little bit more flight time, because of course having less weight will always help. In terms of rigidity, it seems about the same to me. So here's the old 75 frame, and this is the new one. It seems pretty similar, maybe a little bit less rigid. So obviously, you know, they're trying to save weight in various places all over the place here. A little bit, you know, the prop guard parts are maybe a little bit not as tall, stuff like that. You know, again, go to the product page. I'll probably give you specific information about all the little minor differences. Like I can see right here, like this part of the tray here is a lot narrower here on this part. So they just found little spaces kind of all over the place to sort of reduce the weight and try and still maintain a frame that's still quite durable and strong and still going to work well. So if I were you, if I were going to build a 75 millimeter, this is the frame I would go for. I haven't really, at least on this one here, in this HD sort of setup, it's been flying fine, plenty of flight time. I haven't had any like major jello problems. That, you know, obviously I need to change the camera mount here because it's HD footage, but at least on this setup here as a pusher, seems pretty good for me. So unless you absolutely need the I guess a little bit more durability, the full size 75 millimeter frame, then maybe get that one. But I'm not sure if they're going to continue to sell those. And then I do have all of these new HQ props. So I got these aren't obviously not BETAFPV. This is just a prop thing. So to show these over on my Instagram, these are the new 31 millimeter propellers. I will have a video on this one eventually, but so far so good. It's lighter than the Gemfan 1208, but it gives a little bit more thrust. I don't know if it's any more or less durable. I've had a number of crashes in these, and they seem to be fine. I haven't broken any yet. Of course, pretty hard to break a 31 millimeter propeller in general, but it is so light that I was a little bit concerned that these might be less durable. But so far, through quite a few crashes in the house, haven't any issues yet. It does seem like they do provide a little bit more thrust than the 1208 Gemfans, and they weigh less. So this might be the go-to prop, I think, going forward. But the jury's still out. I haven't made any final decisions yet, so you'll have to wait for that video. And then I do have the new 40 millimeter version of these ultralights on here. This is on this HD whoop here. This is a bi-blade prop, and again, similar characteristics. Very light. It's a pretty rigid prop, and it does have a very good thrust for the weight. But again, I'm not sure if it's any better or worse than the Gemfans. It has a slightly different power curve compared to the Gemfan bullnose bi-blade. So you'll have to wait for that video. How to sort of, it's going to be hard to explain what the differences are. The noise profile is a little bit different. It's actually a little bit quieter than the Gemfan. So it's, again, you know, it's kind of like the Gemfan makes a better prop. They take a little bit of a leap. People moved over to their prop, and then HQ then comes out with their version, and they're sort of their, what, you know, things that they've been working on, and then maybe they've taken a little bit of a leap, and sort of people might move over there a little bit. Honestly, all the props are pretty damn good these days. So compared to the props we had on whoops maybe like just 2 or 3 years ago, there's a lot more selection, a lot more variety and choice out there, and overall definitely looking better for these little micro props on the 31 millimeter size and 40 millimeter size. So definitely no complaints, but I'll have more videos on these a little bit later. So this video has been super long, sorry. Links to everything down in the video description, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. So for those of you that have stuck around to the end of the video, there's a bonus giveaway link, another entry form for another giveaway. It's going to be a reply to my pinned comment in the Ace Pro review. So that was like maybe last week, I think. So it'll be in the reply to my pinned comment on the Ace Pro review. So check that out. That'll be the final giveaway from this video.